It's one question that I get asked a lot by young female filmmakers is how do you become a director? So I thought we would start off by turning over to these women who have become directors to find out what their stories are and how they did that. I'll start, Fleur, with you because...
She's politely saying I'm old. I've been a director I come from theatre. So I did a lot of theatre, going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival many times, mixture of an actor, set designer, and then writer and director. And I moved more into film through production, working for a film production company. And then I got more into film actually as an artist. So I've done a lot of touring art exhibitions using film, and really got into film because I had a educational edutainment Shakespeare gaming company and built a virtual Globe Theatre, as in London, the Globe Theatre where Shakespeare performed his plays, with a 3D Elizabethan animated audience and blue screen live productions of Shakespeare, put in the 3D thing, and then made interactive games and interactive stories. So that's how I kind of got into what I do. So,
that's very impressive. That's amazing. So I started out as an actor. I went to drama school, and I think, which we mentioned before, I wanted to be in the industry, to be telling stories, but at the time that I started out, it wasn't a thing. I didn't know that women could be directors. I just, my brother was a director, and I had to be, or I thought I should be the actor. That was the only way for me to get into the industry all those years ago. And it was great because I love being an actor, and I worked all through all the different mediums, film, TV, theatre, fringe, all of that. So I got to know all the different areas of the medium. And then I started writing and telling stories, which is what I wanted to do, and I co-wrote and co-produced 4 other feature films and short films. I then decided, you know what, I'd really like a crack at directing, but I was reticent because I didn't think I was good enough. And I just decided to do it, and did it for peanuts, and filmed it in 2 days. And so that short film sort of went around the festival circuit, blah blah blah. And then I did another short film, and I thought, I really like this. And then one thing led to another, and I got a call. I was constantly writing and doing other, co-producing other films. And I got a call from someone I know, and they asked if I had any scripts that they, for part of their slate. They were doing a slate for 6 women filmmakers for 6 films on their slate, and it all had to be female dominant. And I said, and they wanted, because I was more working in the genre area, and they wanted a genre film. And I said, yeah, of course you can, I can give you a couple of scripts, I'll give you this one. And I was so bold, and I can't believe I did it. And I said, well, you can have it, but I have to direct it. So they said, well, let's just think about that. Let's look at anyway, to cut a long story short, I did end up directing it. And the film has screened here as well. So that's kind of my journey in a sort of convoluted way.
So for me, well, I think somehow I always knew what I wanted to do. It's this thing inside of you, like it's just that you don't know that you know. And I tried many things, and like many things in society, you feel like art is not really an option straight away. And my father is an artist, so I should have thought that it was an option, but I didn't for so many reasons. And so I tried many things, but it didn't work, and I didn't trust myself enough. So it took a long time. I needed to go out, travel, learn a lot of things, and then one day I went to the Cours Florent. It's a school here, quite well known, and I got in. It's actually quite easy to get in. It's just that for me it was like a sign, and I said, you know what? this is time to just go and do what you like. So I took it and I came here to live and I don't know, do whatever I was meant to do, because I still didn't know exactly what. And all I've been realizing, and I'm still learning actually, well, I believe I will until I die, but I don't know, I realized throughout this journey, acting, directing and doing everything from camera to light, sound. I went through every single thing throughout as many projects as I could, and I realized that directing is the one that, I don't know, scratches that itch that makes it worth it. Even though you want to die sometimes for doing all this, it just, I don't know, it goes in a place in you that makes you feel alive. This and writing, this is what I love the most. And yeah, I think that's my journey.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's interesting hearing from both Joe and Camille, having people really close to you who worked, your brother who actually was a director and your dad was an artist. It's interesting hearing that, you know, even though there are people that are really close to you, sometimes it's really hard to see yourself in that position when the visibility isn't so much in the film world. Kalyani.
Yeah, so sorry, I've lost my voice a bit. But for me, I come from two parents who are scientists, and when I told them that I wanted to go to film school, they had a fit. But to me, storytelling has always been so powerful, and I just needed to figure out how it was done. Ever since I saw those pigtails flying across Lucy Liu's pigtails in Kill Bill, ever since I saw that, I was like, I have to figure out how to do that. So this is actually only my second short narrative film, my third short film. But the first short film I directed was a documentary in Guyana about the lives of young women and girls there. Guyana is where my family is from. I'm a first-generation American. And ever since that documentary, where the directing is a little different in documentary than narrative, you kind of have to let the story tell itself and build from there. But ever since then, I've understood the power and the importance of telling women's stories. And I think that it's kind of all that matters to me sometimes. It's just, it's been a journey, and just like Camille said, you know, you work every aspect of it on every set. You're a PA, you're a grip, you're a camera assistant, you're doing something, but you know, being a director, I feel lucky, and a lot of times I feel imposter syndrome, but most of the time I feel lucky. So yeah, I feel like I'm still very much on my journey, so thank you.
Hi, I'm Michael, and I started wanted to do film. It's like more or less around my high school, and I watched a film called Lady Vengeance by Korean director Park Chan-wook, and it's an amazing film, and I was so amazed how this film was made it, and I want to do something similar or something as good as that, and so it's somehow I started from there, and but during, like, I'm still a student, but I used to not specialize in directing major. Now I am mainly because I feel like I myself have too much opinion to give to other people's work, so it's better to just like I was like trying to become an actress or production design or some editor, like those jobs in the film industry, but it's quite not so successful, and so I went to now my school. To majored in the directing, and very interestingly and luckily is that in our class this year there are like actually 8 female director and only 2 boys, and so like till now I'm still somehow living in the utopia that my school is building for us, and I'm still enjoying it, and I'm still trying hard to maintain myself, keep going on this road, because this road is quite hard, no matter to woman or man, but it's very hard. So I'm still trying. So.
Hi, I'm Simona. I'm Aiko's cinematographer of her movie here. So my journey, it started at art school, and it came from painting. But I figured out that paintings are hard for me to express what I have in my head. So I tried to find some different classes for me outside my art school, and I found some documentary club in my hometown. And I started to do my documentary about my grandparents. And when I was making it, I found that the most interesting part for me was finding the frames, not like the story and everything, but the frames. So then I found that I can apply to our film school, and I got in the film school like third try. So and now I am on 4th year like Aiko, but on cinematography, and my class is mainly boys. I'm the only girl in my class. And that's my story.
Hi, I'm Sisi, and actually, like, this project is my directorial debut. I've been working in film for the past 10, maybe even more than 10 years, but I never went to like film school. I studied English, Lit, and drama. Bit different. Although we do all want to talk a lot and analyze things, so maybe in that way it can share some sentiment. And I was like working in film, and I think I like start like working in film. You can like obviously you usually start in the beginning, like in the base, like PA jobs, and then I got lucky. I was translating between Chinese and Hungarian. In Budapest and Hungary, and there were many like Chinese projects coming to Hungary to shoot, and then kind of like skipped the PA part of the chain of command, and then got into like the film world. And I think like being on set constantly, and then being in the office, and then like those 12-15 hours per day for like I don't know like how many years, that really like shapes you. Your nerves, definitely shapes your nerves, but also shapes your like expectation on film and on how not to do film. And I think that really helped me to understand that, first of all, I'm also an actor, I'm a writer, and I don't want to create there will be some chaos, but I don't want to create an environment where people feel like they are scared, they're anxious. There's only one goal, that's to make the film, and we can step on feelings, on other people, anything just to keep the hierarchical power structure. And so I was like, no, thank you, I don't want that. As an actor, I was working with a crew that was completely different. It's not about him being a male director or not. It's just I realized that as an actor, there's still one wall I have, like, is kind of like blocking me from true power, no, from more, just like my voice wasn't as loud as it is, and I want my voice to be loud as it is, because why should I be less loud? For what? And because in that position, if you're only an actor, sometimes you just, well, that's your only voice as an actor. And this time, and I'm really glad, and I think that really helps when you have like a support system, your friends who can be in the same industry or like working in different like artistic or creative minds, creative explorers. I love that phrase, Flo, what you said in the beginning. Yeah, like meeting with other creative explorers, be it men, women, just, you know, good people who want to do more, who feels alive when they are working together and creating films together. If you find them, never let them go, I think. Never let them go, and then try to make opportunities where you can, like, yeah, like, this is not, you know, like, this is the first few films, this is not the film where you make money. This is the film where you give your money out and you make, it's an investment. And thankfully I had the right team, right crew. My co-director, he was a huge, he played a huge role in letting this happen. He was a producer as well, and I think, yeah, we definitely wanted to, like, first of all create that like environment and to create films and art in that environment, safe environment. And now we're a bit broke, but it's fine.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's always really interesting to me to hear how people came to directing, because everyone's story is different, and you know, there is no one path. There's no right time to get on that path. When you have something to say, you will know it. And you know, I think that's important for people to remember as well, that just because you are doing a job or you get to an age and you have not directed does not mean that you are not a director. You will know when you are a director, and there are many ways that you can get to that place. Thank you all for sharing those. One thing that was sort of striking me when we were talking outside is we were talking a lot about collaboration and how important those collaborative processes are. There's a few of the directors here who were working with people in different languages on the films that they have in the festival at the moment. Kalyani, I'm also thinking of what you just said about telling female stories being very important to you. I'm wondering about if collaborating specifically with women is something that you think about. I know that's something that some of us were talking about as well. So I wonder if we could talk about collaboration, what that means to you when you're working, if there are certain things you have in mind that you specifically look for in collaborators. I might start with Camille.
Okay. So, well, it's a wide question, but
thinking of the film that you have
yeah.
in this festival, what was that collaborative process like?
Well, okay, I might go wide and then go back to the movie, if that's okay. Well, one thing, I realized that I don't work like many people, which is not really true, because I think it's just a way people should work. In a way, I'm going to explain. It's, oh God, this is hard. I'm just tired. It's the way that you connect with people. It's, I'm not saying that you should talk to your coworkers and your actors like they're your friends, not at all. But you should consider as much as your friends. When an actor comes into the room or when a technician comes into the room, they don't do the same job, but they need the same attention and care. It is very important to me that I show everybody in my team and my actors that are part of my team too, that they're being seen. So I spend a lot of time and energy, and it's very consuming, but to always be there for everyone. I remember on the set, I always take a look around everyone, and I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? And not even before because we're shooting, just because sometimes I see someone a little bit tired or something like that. And my assistant would always come and say, Camille, this is not your job. And I'm like, yes, it is. So yes. And about this movie in particular, well, it was the first time that I was working with 2 lead female actresses. And also there were some intimate scenes. Well, it's a kiss, but it was a kiss that was in their minds leading up to sex. And I wanted to give an image of a desire, of a fantasy that they had in their mind. And in your mind, it goes a lot further than in truth sometimes. And I wanted to go there, and when I talked to my actresses, they were like, well, this is my very first time. And I'm like, okay, how very first? Well, it's my first time even kissing someone on stage. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna work on that. So I took 3 to 4 more days to just talk to them, and we put ourselves in a room and we just talked and see what were the stages they were feeling comfortable with. And we went through everything until they felt comfortable actually being in the scene and trying stuff out. It was a long process. It's tiring, I'm sure even for them it was tiring. And we took as many breaks as needed. That's a good thing when you do, because it's a student film too. That's a good thing when you do a student film is that, well, everybody is there on their free time. So you know why you're there. And you can take breaks, and they need breaks. So I would be more like, you're not looking at your watch all the time and be like, this is money going out of the window. So I tried to listen over and over again, even if sometimes maybe I listen too much, but that's the way that I tend to do.
Do you feel like you work a bit differently to other people? Do you think that's quite different to sets that you've been on before or experiences you've had before?
Yeah. It's on the way that I've been on sets, on the way that I saw directors being with their team and their actors, and also sometimes when I was just, coming to see a friend on a set. It is so different. And also what shocked me was when I ended up my movie, the shot is done, everybody's happy, you clap and all that, you're emotional, you cry. And then people came to see me and they were like, Camille, I was so happy to be on your set. I'm like, thank you very much, I was so glad to have you. And they were like, no, you don't get it. I was so happy. Like, I had genuinely a good time. There's not a lot of team where everybody's genuinely happy to be here all together. Everybody's enjoying it. I feel safe. I feel like I can speak. There's no block. There's nothing. And I'm sure there is somehow because we're human beings. But I don't know. Yeah, that's when I saw that it was not normal somehow.
Mm. Yeah, that's really interesting and so nice, obviously, for you to get that feedback because you're on a good path. Yeah. Joe, can I flip it to you because I know your production process happened in Serbia. You had crew that were not speaking English, but all of your cast were English. So, can you talk a little bit about what that collaborative process was like?
Yeah. So we filmed my movie in Serbia, in Belgrade. I hadn't ever been to Belgrade before, so I was kind of terrified because I thought I've got to match the north of England to Yorkshire. It's set in Yorkshire for Belgrade, and that was just like, what the hell? But we did, and yeah, there were moments where, I mean, I was terrified, I'm not going to lie. I was really scared. It was my first movie to direct, and I was in a different country. I didn't know anyone. I hadn't even cast the film yet. And we had like 4 or 5 weeks pre-production, and some of the cast are here, and we had like a week before we cast Rebecca, who had played Sybil. So it was really time was tight. And yes, there were a lot of the crew did not speak English. So that was something I had to really get my head around, because sometimes when you're on set and they're all talking amongst themselves, you don't know what they're saying, and sometimes it's easier for the DP who did speak English. It wasn't, his English was pretty good, and he's talking to his gaffer and his electricians and blah blah blah, and I'm thinking, what are they saying? What are they saying? I need to know. They'd be moving things around, and I was like, what's going on here? Is that track in the right place? Because I'm not sure if it is. And it was that kind of, I had to really be quite strong, I guess, because it was a very, very male crew. It was very male. I had an amazing first AD, Milena, who spoke really great English. And so and because we only had like 20 days, I think it was 20 days filming, 5-day weeks, was that right, ladies? I think so, 25, is it 25? So time was really tight. And it got to a point whereby I just thought, right, I'll direct in English to the English actors. And I think, and then Milena, you just speak to the crew. I'll tell you what I want, and you just, because we had to have this short, we didn't have enough time. And I think for the actors, who were amazing, I mean, they probably need to say this themselves, but it must have been quite disconcerting to be on a set when everyone's talking, mostly male, talking in Serbian. And Serbians are very passionate people. They're wonderful people, and they're quite loud. You know, they're sort of really, really loud and passionate. And sometimes one of the actors, who's a male actor in it, he's a very sort of quietly spoken, and I could see him walking along sometimes just going, oh, because it was just like, it was too loud for him, but that's how they were, and we had to really, we're in their country, right? We're using their crew, and they were amazing, and they were brilliant. But yes, there were teething problems, I can't lie, and it was difficult, and it could be isolating. But I did have my producer, Zoe Stewart, she was around, and Robin, who was the associate producer. And it's really important to have those comrades, you know, your wing women. So if there was any issues, they could go and sort it out, because as a director, we all know that there's a million things to think about. And
there must be a really high level of trust that you have to build quickly in your case, because you did not have a lot of time,
yeah.
But also with the additional boundary of the language barrier. That's a really impressive thing that you were able to do as a director.
Yeah, and I think I think it's because I was very clear about what I wanted, and I think that was vital in that. Because if I was a bit wishy-washy and thinking, oh, I'm not sure, then they would lose trust in me, because I was a woman, and in Serbia it's different. It's not as advanced. They're still about 10 years behind. In that sense, I mean, there is still some fantastic female filmmakers coming through, but it's not as advanced as it is in other areas of Europe and the US. So it was having to really gain their trust. But in saying that, they were fantastic, so fast and amazing.
Well, you produced a fantastic film, so thank you. It worked. Fleur, I know you were obviously talking about working in many different genres and many different sort of areas, so you probably have a great deal to say about collaboration. What do you enjoy about it all?
No, I mean, I think it's not just, you know, it's how you are as a person. I think I'm very impressed with all of the women, because I think we're actually quite enablers. You know, I think we're supporters. And I think for me, because I've done so many different things, you know, I've done editing, earning my bread and butter, I've done cinematography, I've been a producer, I'm a writer, you know, in all genres. So it kind of helps a bit when I work and let's say, you know, I've just done a sound project. I've never worked with a Russian sound artist. But it's the basics of really doing animation is it's all about storyboarding. This is what you have to articulate. You have got to storyboard it. And the other difficult thing was that the sound artist normally works to written music. And I couldn't. I went through music libraries and I couldn't find anything that I wanted. You know, it wasn't like go, oh, we'll just do it to a bit of classical music, whoosh, there we go. It was like, no, I've got to do something different. And I initially employed a British female composer, and she just said, I can't work like this. I have to work to something that's filmed and edited. I can't compose like that. So I said, look, Jane, I'm sorry, you know, we can't work. I would love to work with her again, you know, at some point. But I ended up working with a guy in Malta, and he was incredibly accommodating. And he said, look, you know, I said, I'm anyway going, this has to be 60 seconds, this has to be da-da-da. We have to talk through the storyboard of how long everything's going to be. And he very generously composed the music and said, look, let her, we'll do a reciprocate thing that then if I have to recompose something, I will. And the sound artist said, if I have to do an extra bit, we'll do that. But we ended up filming it via Zoom, which is kind of like absolutely bizarre, because if she's her whole studio set up, so she just said, look, I have my whole studio set up in St. Petersburg. There's absolutely no point, and it was all during COVID as well. So that's how we made the film on Zoom.
That's a really incredible collaboration story, and probably filmmakers who have worked with musicians know exactly what Flo was just talking about having a finished piece, you know, writing the music to finished pictures. That's a really incredible story. Scott is telling me that we've run out of time. I told you we'd run out of time. I'm just going to really quickly, because I did bring it up, go to you, Kalani, to talk about working with women to tell female stories.
Yeah, so working with the girls and the women on my set for River Oaks was so easy. You know, they were... because this story is based off of a real events, I just wanted them to be real girls, you know, in the locker room scene before the assault scene. I had no actual lines for them. I had a few lines that if they wanted to say, they could say, but I said, just talk to each other, you know, just... They're all gymnasts, they all do this before, they've all been in competition. I casted all gymnasts. So, you know, I just let them chat. I gave them direction as far as, you know, what to do, but as far as what to say, you know, just be here, be present. And
do you think it really helped to get those performances out of them where you were asking them to improvise in that way because you were also a woman? Do you think?
Yeah, I do think so. And when it came down to collaborating with more of my crew, you know, when we'd get a shot, you know, I'd ask my DP, are you happy with this? I'd ask my actor, are you happy with this? But then also, there's a point as a director where you have to put your foot down and you say, I'm happy with this, and this is what I'm seeing, and this is what I want. And just working with these women, they made it so easy, and I'm just very grateful for that. I don't want to take up too much time now.
Don't be afraid to say, I'm a director, even if you haven't directed something. You know, that's, I think, the most important thing, and be prepared. You can think in your head through every possibility and do it over and over and over again. Look at all problems that can happen, just be prepared.
Gosh, echo all of that and just keep going. Just trust yourself and keep going.
Yeah, organization is key. Organization all the way.
And I would say just listen to yourself. Only you know what's good, and you know it in your body. And this is what is true and what is good, and you're gonna make it if you listen to yourself.
I would say just believe in yourself, believe in the stories that you know that you want to tell, and that's the most important thing.
I think just go for it and don't care that much. And I think it's a job, and it's just to treat it as a job.
As a cinematographer, a woman cinematographer, I would say like make your gender an advantage, not like your disadvantage in this sea of men cinematographers.
Be loud. Be loud. If you need to cry, go find a secluded place and cry your heart out. It's okay. But yeah, like I found like constructive conversations with your crew, with your friends, hopefully as well. That really helps to build you as like a strong like director, like a leader position.